Silent. Deadly. The 2nd Force Reconnaissance Marines are an elite force with a mission to conduct pre-assault and post-assault surveillance in the support of amphibious landing forces.
Force Recon Marines are different from other Marines because Force Reconnaissance Marines have a lot of heart. Every Marine in the company really wants to be here. They want to train. They don't wake up in the morning with, oh, I've only got 30 days left in the Corps. They've got a really good attitude.
Basically, you're the eyes and ears of the landing force commander. What we do is, if he has a particular interest in an area, we're supposed to go there and find out exactly what's going on there. Is there a bridge here that they can resupply with? Is there an enemy force massing here? What is going on in this area? And that way we can let him know what is going on out beyond his lines so he can formulate a plan and continue to march.
Most operations are conducted by 4- to 6-man teams, or at the most, a small platoon consisting of 14 men. The number of teams deployed depends ultimately upon the mission that is assigned. Force Recon Marines accomplish their objectives through stealth, maneuverability, and communications. Operating behind enemy lines, one mistake could be fatal, jeopardizing the entire mission of the landing force.
We can send a man out to do a traditional deep reconnaissance mission to confirm the location of the target. He can confirm that location and get it back over 300 kilometers away to the force commander without ever keying his handset by burst transmission over a SATCOM. He's limited by what he can carry on his back as far as his rations and his water supply. He has to gather his own water. The risk associated with remaining undetected, because remember, he's out there alone with no support in a 4- or 6-man team. If he's discovered and he's compromised, then the mission is compromised and the risk to the team is risen astronomically.
This is Calum, over.
The roots of force reconnaissance originated during the early days of World War II. As the Marine Corps entered the war in the Pacific Theater, scout companies from each infantry division would set out on reconnaissance missions. By the end of World War II, the Marines had established an amphibious reconnaissance battalion to provide the commanders with information for what today is the Force Reconnaissance Marines. The Vietnam War provided the Reconnaissance Marines with their first chance to put the skills learned during peacetime to actual use in combat. They were heavily relied upon to gather intelligence about enemy posts deeply concealed in the jungle. In Vietnam, traditional reconnaissance techniques were refined and new ones battle-tested. Today, these Marines are chosen from a select few who volunteer to go through the company's brutal screening test.
You will not talk to anybody, you'll keep your mouth shut, do as you're told, and fill out the questionnaires completely and to the best of your ability.
The company has a fairly rigorous selection process. In that selection process, approximately, we have an 82% failure rate. So we're looking at about 18 out of 100 actually make it through and receive orders to the company.
Hey, come on, the sun's getting up, we gotta get going!
At first light, the men set out on their first hour of testing.
Remember your time.
At 7 o'clock, the Marines have finished the initial physical fitness test, which consists of pull-ups, sit-ups, and a timed 3-mile run.
Parade rest, line right.
The cutoff time for passing this stage of the test is 18 minutes. Only one man succeeded.
Number 16, 1757.
Good job. Quickly, number 7, hurry up.
Before the men start their aquatic tests, they must change into full combat fatigues.
Can you swim?
Yes.
Like a fish?
Yes.
You can?
Yes.
We'll find out today.
You will do a 10-minute survival float.
Wet fatigues weigh approximately 30 pounds and hinder the men greatly while swimming. For this reason, they must attempt to fill their pants with air and use them for flotation.
Relax in the water. Do not swim. Float.
Tie the trouser legs together.
Get under, okay?
Turn around.
Before long, men begin to fail. Those who cannot complete the test must get out and wait for the few men who are able to finish the entire exercise. After nearly 2 hours of pool testing, the men find themselves back outside in near freezing temperatures, still in their wet fatigues.
Ante! Front! Cover! This is where we find out what you're made of, right here. Out! Hey! Out!
The key element that makes one guy succeed where another guy fails is what he's packing between his ears. If he can think, if he can act on his own 2 feet, regardless of how cold it is or how hot it is, if he can continue on and accomplish whatever mission that he's been assigned, then he'll succeed at 2nd Force Recon Company.
Here we go. Here we go. 1 mile. 2 mile. 3 mile. 4 mile. Looking good. Hey, oh. Hey, oh. Hey, oh. Here we go. Recon. Looking good. Give me more.
Reach as high as you can.
The Marines going through the 2nd Force Recon indoctrination program have had an extremely long day. After a full hour of exposure to the elements, they're told to complete 2 trips through the obstacle course. Despite the numbing cold and the previous 4 hours of hell, many of the men remain enthusiastic.
Army Force Recon!
Force Recon, you want to be the best of the best, and Force Recon is the best Marine Corps I saw.
The screening test is taking its toll. As men fall off, they're escorted to the truck. For them, this signifies the end of the test.
You can train a Marine to do anything. You can make him any Marine as physically tough as you want. But the key is something you can't give him is that mental toughness. And that's something that a man has to come to the unit with. We can't give that to him.
What's your number, Cecily?
29.
3429.
For those men remaining, the end is within sight. After a 3-mile run with a 50-pound rucksack, the Marines finish their 5 hours of physical testing.
We started off with 22 people, and it looks like we had probably 5 people make the minimum time on the final ruck run. A few of those, I know for a fact, didn't make the minimum time on the O course earlier, so I would imagine we'll probably have approximately 3 or 4 people pass out of 22 people. They just keep coming back and coming back and coming back until they chip away at it, until they make it. And those are the kind of Marines we're looking for here. Marines are going to come back and keep working on it, get stronger and smarter and work harder and always improve themselves.
The skills required for a reconnaissance Marine are nearly unlimited. However, traditional maritime exercises are still an integral part of their training. Amphibious insertion techniques are the backbone of Force Recon Marine missions. Since the Korean War, the helicopter has proved to be a vital asset for pinpoint insertions within hostile territories. Today, 2 3-man teams, along with inflatable rubber raiding crafts, prepare to be dropped by a CH-53 helicopter. This exercise, called the Helocast, relies on precise coordination between the aircraft crew and the amphibious Marines. With perfect timing, the boats, along with their crews, are dropped from the rear of the helicopter. They're met by fellow Marines to conduct shoreline reconnaissance missions. Here, a two-man team silently approaches a shoreline using bubbleless scuba equipment. In a wartime scenario, these types of missions would be conducted at night, making the soldiers nearly invisible under the cover of darkness. Even though the soldiers are armed, they usually do not engage the enemy. Gunfire would compromise their positions and potentially endanger the entire mission.
We do not go out and actively engage the enemy unless directed to do so. We are not ground combat troops. We're reconnaissance Marines.
Using a camera, the team takes photographs of the area. These photos are to be brought back to the commander for tactical review. Amphibious missions are what the Marines have long been known for. However, parachute drops are also a widely used tactic to insert troops behind enemy lines. HALO is an acronym for High Altitude, Low Opening. The aircraft climbs to 18,000 feet, where the thin air is a temperature of 30 degrees below zero without wind chill. At this altitude, the men must breathe pure oxygen to remain conscious. With the drop zone over 3 miles below, the men jump, free-falling for just over a minute to 4,000 feet, where they deploy their chutes. Once opened, the parachute becomes a means of transportation, enabling the Marines to silently maneuver with pinpoint accuracy onto the designated drop zone. In addition to HALO operations, the Force Reconnaissance Company utilizes the OV-10 Bronco, a small observation aircraft suitable for low-level clandestine parachute insertions. 3 men are loaded into the modified cargo bay, with the last man strapping himself in to secure the entire team. The 2 OV-10s approach the drop zone, barely clearing the trees. The pilots pull the planes into a steep climb. The teams are literally pulled out of the aircraft by gravity, and their chutes are deployed by a static line mechanism.
Roger, sir. I got 6 out and 6 open.
Parachuting is a simple and effective method of infiltration. Once on the ground, the reconnaissance mission begins. Even though the mission of the Force Recon Marines is to avoid the enemy through stealth, he must have the ability to defend himself in the case of confrontation.
The main purpose we use combat hand-to-hand training is, number one, build the heart of the warrior. Gives them a confidence in our training. And hand-to-hand combat, I believe, is going to happen in any type of combat situation we have. No matter how high-tech the war becomes, hand-to-hand is always going to happen. So we're getting ready for it. We're training on that level.
In the event of a firefight behind enemy lines, the Force Recon Marine must constantly sharpen his marksmanship skills. The troops go through a modified training course, which tests their speed and accuracy. These assets are of utmost importance for the reconnaissance soldier. During a mission, if he fires his weapon, he must shoot to kill. The demolition team of the Force Reconnaissance Company is often assigned with direct action missions to destroy critical enemy installations.
We'll use today for making test shots. That's why we're out here. We're going to determine what type of charge we need to best attack this target. And we're going to keep in mind the mission.
In preparation for their mission, the demolition team is making a series of C4 explosive charges. The plastic explosive is to be tested on surplus vehicles similar to those that lie behind enemy lines. The information gathered today will be analyzed and adapted to destroy those targets.
This is our improvised satchel charge. What we do with this is we could take out a comm site with this, throw it in the communications van. We can go up to a tower, and we already calculated the amount of charge to blow the steel on a radio tower. You just go there, hang that sucker up, you're good to go.
The team's mission is to get in and out of the area undetected, demolishing the objective before the enemy can react. Two six-man teams approach a shoreline without a sound. Point men precede the boats to provide armed cover for their landing. Safely and silently, the teams land on shore and conceal their boats in the foliage. In this direct action scenario, the mission of the two teams is to conduct reconnaissance on an enemy fortification deep within the forest. They must remain together at all times, on the way to their designated surveillance position.
Teamwork in a unit such as this is, it gets to the point where at times when teams are together for a little while and they've got their operational procedures down, it gets to the point where they don't even use hand and arm signals anymore in the field. They just know what the other members is feeling or thinking when they operate.
When the teams reach their observation post, the snipers fortify their positions along the perimeter, while the satellite radio link is set up. This radio is their connection to the outside world. Without it, they would be completely on their own in the case of a mishap.
Where we're going hasn't changed at all. But on your approach up to the landing zone, I want you to swing a little bit further south on your approach up to the clearing. Roger that? Right. Okay, remember when you're out there,
This mission is to collect intelligence on an enemy embarkment. There are many patrols in the area, and the Marines must rely on each other for protection.
When you're on an operation a week or 2 weeks out in the field, and you're living with these guys every day, and you're sharing the same fighting positions with them, and you're on long road marches with them, and you're jumping out of helicopters with them, you get to rely on each other, you get to know each other, and that really bonds the team together, unlike anything I've ever experienced in my infantry experience in the past. So it's unique and it's rewarding. It's great.
The cohesiveness of the group is put to the test while the Marines retreat to the extraction zone. A small group of enemy soldiers have been spotted on a road near where the helicopter is scheduled to extract them. Quickly, they set up an ambush.
Being that we're small team elements, security is paramount, and we must use surprise because we don't have the ability to take on a large force, so we got to deliver that killing blow right off the bat. So surprise, violence of action right off the bat, and most paramount is our security at all times, and then the ability to get out of town once we hit them.
Ceasefire! Ceasefire!
With the road clear, the helicopter is able to conduct the extraction. Just one bullet can disable a helicopter, potentially destroying a multi-million-dollar aircraft and stranding the men in hostile territory. This technique of special purpose insertion and extraction, or SPY, enables the helicopter to pick up troops without landing. A SPY rigging allows small teams to hook up to a line attached to the underside of a helicopter and be taken rapidly out of enemy territory.
I've never seen in almost 18 years of commissioned service a more disciplined, a more talented group of Marines collected under one organization. They're superlative, they're smart, they're disciplined, they're focused. And it's their focus on their job, it's their focus on their lives that is most unique about these Marines, which makes my job a lot easier here.
This focus develops from strong leadership, camaraderie among the men, and shared objectives. These soldiers have undergone some of the most difficult training in the world, dedicating their lives to defending the freedom of the United States.
People depend on one another. They take care of one another. Force Reconnaissance Marines spend more time with one another than their wives and family do with them, and they become very close. And it's a bond between the men in this unit that lasts lifetimes. And I believe that there's no other place in the world where you can get a bond with your fellow Marines as you can is here.
Everybody's like a bunch of brothers around here. You know, I feel as close to these guys